What's happening? Andy here. I am joined today by Joe Contreras from Epson. How are you doing today, Joe?
I'm doing great, Andy. How are you doing? Good to see you.
I am great, living the dream. I'm out here in Western New York. It's our time of the year. It's beautiful weather. I probably, would almost rather be outside than talking to you. But I hear you guys have some fun things to share with us today. So you guys are in. Where are you located? You're in California somewhere.
We're in California, in the LA Orange County area, so not a bad place to be. It's gonna be a little hot this weekend, but we're looking forward to a good Labor Day.
Good holiday weekend. Yes, you guys are definitely under a heat wave. How's before you jump into everything else? How's the COVID out there? How's what are you guys doing with work? Are you in the office at all yet, or is it still all remote? How's LA in your area?
Yeah, so things have reopened to a degree. From a work perspective, we're actually in the middle of a transition between our old corporate headquarters and our new office. So we're kind of going through that move right now. So majority of our workforce has been remote, and so we're just kind of getting through that move, and then we'll take it from there.
Very cool. Well, last time we chatted, we were just kind of getting into the whole COVID thing, and you were talking about some special programs you had for dealers, packaging, I think even some scanners, and just trying to help them equip home offices. You had some turnkey programs. We're several months down the line now. It's sort of, I wouldn't say back to business as usual, but you guys had plans, you had launches scheduled. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to sit down and, chat about what some of the big news is that you guys have coming out. So why don't we take it from there, and you can kind of just sort of start filling me in and my listeners, my viewers, I guess, what's happening with Epson since the last meeting we had back in March. My last official meeting, by the way, was your meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Well, good. Well, thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, it's good to touch base with you. So, we had our event in March, Ink Boldly, and we unveiled this year's flagship business inkjet portfolio. So as you mentioned, we were very fortunate to have a highly successful and, from my perspective, a flawless event where we were really able to spend quality time with yourself, our dealer partners, other analysts and press community, and really deepen the relationships with our partners, and more importantly, energize the dealers for what was about to come later this year. But as you mentioned, literally the week after our event, the world as we know it came to a screeching halt with the pandemic. And so if I'm not mistaken, Epson might be the only print OEM that's had a live dealer partner event in 2020. So again, we're very grateful and fortunate to have pulled that off. As you can imagine, the world and industry as a whole had to rapidly evolve. So like many others, at Epson, we assessed the situation and really pivoted to focus on honing our skills, staying engaged with dealers. And I'm happy to say that our team really rose to the occasion, and we haven't skipped a beat. Fortunately for us, we were already using remote technologies like Zoom and Teams, so we were already well versed in that. So we took that opportunity to develop a curriculum and package it up where we could deliver that information and best practices to dealers. And we figured, if it works for us, why couldn't it work for them? So in April, we kicked off what we call our Impact Training Series. So a series of live weekly webinars that allowed us to stay and engage with dealers, share with topics that were relevant to them, such as remote technologies, Zoom, Teams, etc., how to keep staff productive, training on products and solutions, and probably most importantly there is identifying areas of sales opportunity, especially in those early months. And I think in that first month, we probably had over like 30 different webinars, and we've actually continued that series ongoing now throughout the months. So it was a combination of both national webinars, and we took a slightly different approach where some of the content was delivered at a regional level. And that gave our field teams, field marketing and field sales, the ability to engage and have more personal conversations with dealers and understand what was going on with the businesses. And so now that we've had all those webinars, we have a very robust library where dealers can go back now, and then they and their sales reps have that the ability to go through it at their leisure. Another significant pivot for us from a sales perspective was towards A4 MFPs and printers. So you can imagine thousands of companies having their employees work remotely. Students are learning remotely as well. The demand for A4 products has skyrocketed. So we quickly identified that need and produced marketing material that would equip dealers to be able to go out and carry that message, via social media, wherever it may be, and really raise awareness and generate demand. So around applications such as work from home, learn from home, hospitality printing. So any type of single-use printing application is really what we were focused on. So again, it was really timely that in March, as you mentioned, we really covered the entire spectrum of the portfolio. So it was really fresh in the minds of our dealers. And it was really a matter of having the right product set at the right time. And we saw a number of dealers really jump on board and have their own postings on LinkedIn and other social media outlets, really, explaining to their customers the value that they could deliver with A4 products. And we continue to see that demand to be at an all-time high. And I think our dealers have really appreciated the diversity in our business inkjet portfolio to help them cast a wider net. So there was a few other things that we wanted to work on kind of leading up to the introduction of some new products that I'll talk about in just a second. And those were things more behind the scenes, but really taking dealer feedback to heart. So some of the things we focus on were building out the first phase of our out-of-territory service program for dealers, or what we call our national service network. So dealers can now leverage this program to engage each other and have support for sales outside their core marketplace. And so dealers have really responded well to that. We also encourage them to use the Epson Remote Services platform. So that's our cloud-based application that allows them to remotely manage and view the fleet of devices. So that's been very popular also. But also along the lines of service, virtual hands-on service training is an area that we heavily focus on, knowing that dealers couldn't travel, and plus maybe they didn't want to incur the expense of having their technicians travel. We've converted our training for the business inkjet portfolio to fully hands-on virtual training. So we have live instructor-led Zoom classes where dealers sign up, they come on board, they have product, we have product, we walk them through disassembly, assembly, and the response has been overwhelmingly positive. Dealers love it. They like the fact of not having to take technicians out of the field, plus they're not incurring the expense of travel, and so it's been a good win-win.
So let me stop
all across
there.
the board.
So just to kind of drive that home, these dealers, when they, before this year, would have sent their techs in for a day or 2 or 3 days of training. They would have had to have the hotels and this isn't just you, every brand does this, right? And that's how we as an industry have done it since my dad's day. And so now, because of the situation we're in, you streamlined it, you moved it all online, and that's never going to come back most likely, right? I mean, this is the new way
that's kind of the new normal. Yeah, that's
right? It's better, it's more efficient. It's kind of an opportunity that you really seize there, and you're obviously forced into it, but what a productive thing that you've done for the dealers, right? In that now a tech can go and get fully certified and trained on products without ever having to leave their office.
Yeah, it's been great. You're right. And so even before COVID, I would say online training was available, but it was more self-paced, canned content. This is live instructor-led training that they can ask questions real time and really, get into the details of the product and get fully immersed in our technology.
You don't have to physically go to it. That's very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple other things, we've been focused on bids and contracts, so really helping dealers pursue more opportunities. So our team there has been really focused on getting Epson on more purchasing vehicles, and have done a great job there, and we'll continue to push in that area. But again, dealers appreciate that because it helps them expand the number of opportunities that they can participate in.
Yeah.
But all of that was really leading up to, what we showed in March, and really preparation for the release of what I characterize as our best products ever. So I'm really excited to say that September is going to mark a monumental milestone in our quest to really disrupt the industry with the introduction of the all-new Workforce Enterprise products.
Excellent.
So, we showed these in March. You were able to see them firsthand in Japan in October, but three new color MFPs at 60, 75, and 100 pages per minute. Some brand new finishing options, but across the board, just a huge leap forward for Epson, if you will. And so for this introduction, we've really incorporated this theme of going the distance. Mm-hmm. And for us, going the distance reflects the ability to address the requirements in two key areas. One is social distancing and servicing in an era of social distancing, and then also being able to produce at high volumes very consistently and reliably. So on that first point, we think about social distancing and how to service products effectively right now. What we're hearing from dealers is when their technicians go on site, they're having to take into account social distancing measures. So they have to check in, they have to, they actually have to be scheduled before they even show up. They have to have their temperature taken. They have to answer a questionnaire of who they've been around and exposed to, et cetera. So all that takes time. When you add up that time, that's impacting their ability to go out and service a broad number of devices. It's impacting the number of devices they can touch on any given day. And all that adds up. It impacts labor costs. That's on the dealer side. From an end user side, you can imagine they probably don't want people coming into their office, so they want to minimize the number of people coming into their offices. And so we believe in this era of social distancing, our products are game changing in that regard, because they deliver with low maintenance, very few service interventions, and all while improving the dealer's profitability. And that comes by way of our PrecisionCore Heat-Free Technology. So you'll really see us lean in heavily on that service aspect, and we believe dealers are going to really open up to that and really see that as the key differentiation for Epson go forward.
So you guys have 3 new machines that are coming out this month.
Yep.
60, 75, and 100 page a minute. They're using their inkjet machines. And so there's 2 types of inkjet. You taught us this when we were all brought over to Japan.
You remembered. I'm glad.
So cold is good, hot is bad. It was what you guys were pitching. I don't know if the other companies would agree, but certainly you made a good case for it. And so that cold process is how you essentially combust use a cold process. Let's just simplify it, right? Because I was a copier rep. So you use a cold process to spray that ink, to pressurize the ink and get it out onto the paper. And cold versus hot has been your experience is that the cold is a much more reliable process. So your inkjet heads theoretically should be more reliable, which is why these devices, from what you're seeing, are inherently more reliable than a lot of their laser counterparts. And even in your opinion, comparing it to other inkjet devices, the reliability for the cold process is better. And all 3 of these use that piezo cold process, correct?
Yep, they all use the PrecisionCore Heat-Free Technology, and you hit the nail on the head. So I'm glad we were able to explain that well to you. But that's exactly right. It's that heat-free, that cold process that allows us to print with fewer moving parts, lower energy consumption, and the print head is designed to be in the product for the life of the product. So it's not a consumable. And that's really where we're able to achieve that high productivity over longer periods of time. And that really kind of leads to our next point for going the distance. That really ties into our ability to produce prints over long runs for extended periods of time. So we have a number of use cases, and we're actually working on some case studies now where we have machines in field that are running upwards of 250,000 pages per month, 6, 7 months at a time, with little to no service calls. Actually, one client with no service calls at all. And so we're really excited to share that news with our dealers And again, kind of reinforce what we've been explaining all this time. Now we have some real data points and proof source to put behind that. So you'll see us positioning the 100 ppm not only for the office, but also pushing up into that entry level of the light production market because of our capabilities of being able to run extended periods of time.
So how much ink does that 100 ppm device hold in it? How many pages would a cartridge or a container? Is it a container inside? What do you call it?
Bottle? So it's an ink cartridge. It's an ink cartridge. So for the color for color yields, it's 50K. For monochrome yield, it's 100K. And right. So again,
they are designed for volume. When you're talking 100K per cartridge, that's a big cartridge, right? So
right.
And then ballpark, where is that color cost per page? I know, in the past, inkjet has always been seen as being a little pricier, but that's sort of changed over the last few years. Where are you guys now? I won't ask you to give me an exact amount, but where are we now?
Sure. Well, I'll just give a comparison in terms of TCO. So if you look at our lineup of product, we're able to produce at a certain speed, but we're actually priced competitively where we can go down segment and compete against products that are slower in speed. So not only do we have an advantage from a total cost of ownership perspective, we have an advantage from a speed and productivity perspective as well.
So if you're selling, that's always a nice thing when you get to be the guy or woman that gets to go in and say, look, I'm faster, I'm cheaper, and I'm more reliable, right? So those are three really popular selling aspects of any device. So very nice. And these machines will be available when this month? When do they start order taking or shipping, or how's that going?
We're taking orders now. So so products are shipping this month. We're taking orders, and it's an exciting time for us. Again, it's kind of the culmination of everything we've been working on and that excitement we were able to build in March. And so our dealers are ready to go.
I bet. They were nice machines. They were nice. So those were the big news items. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Anything else big coming down the road we should know about, or some obviously there's no events. I have seen Epson doing some pretty creative things in other areas of the company, though, because I follow you as a company, not just the office equipment group, but it's a fascinating company. If the viewers are into maybe seeing some videos of some other things you guys do, especially displays, and but you do a lot in scanning, a lot in wide format. Anything coming in that area, those areas that you want to plug real quick before we wrap up?
Sure. Yeah. So that's no new products to speak of per se, but from a program perspective, as we mentioned in March, that's an offering available to the dealers as well. We've seen a lot of excitement around that. Again, it gives them the ability to cast a broader net. You mentioned we're creative. You'll see us, although there will not be a live event. We're planning on a virtual event in the not too distant future, where it'll be a kind of a continuation of Ink Boldly, if you will. So you'll hear more about these new products, wide format and scanners. So be on the lookout for that information pretty soon here from us.
Well, this was very cool. Thank you very much for spending the time with me and doing the video and giving the viewers an update on what's happening with Epson. You guys are a latecomer to the channel for sure, but man, you guys have got a very interesting story. A unique product line, and it's always good catching up with you, Joe. I hope Mark's doing well, and great to see Derek for a few seconds earlier, and the rest of the crew.
Thank you, Andy. Appreciate the time, and good talking to you and catching up.
You got it.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.